Before Monster Ground was realized, it was on my radar, but of course I couldn't get it at the launch. But I'm also not already in playing games at launch. Finally I got it on a sale long time ago. But because I was making different videos, then of course I didn't start making or playing this game. But of course it didn't want to work on all .hp Broke 3 440S, okay, or maybe that was wrong model number. When searching images I couldn't find it. Or maybe it's 4340S, I don't know. At least the image is similar to what laptop I have. Like, it stopped transporting at launch. One time I managed to reach the main menu, but it again stopped transporting. After it in one of the trays I waited for an hour and it only reaches the intro cutscene, which I skipped and the game stopped responding on the white screen. Well, the game by default launches in full screen, or at least for first launch on the system, or at least it was like that at the time. And at least once a new instance of it was opened. And now that I have a new laptop, I finally managed to play it out around 2 years, 1 month and 24 days. But the video probably will be published out there around 2 years, 2 months and 24 days from the original update. Okay, from intros, starting to write the intro of this video. By the way, I had started writing the intro part of the script on the old laptop, and of course I did it after finishing the game. And as you can see, it's another monster catching taming game, which is fine, and there should be more. So the general audience will start to understand everything is in Pokemon. And you know what? I didn't find the most critical video about that everything is Pokemon. I wanted to it a slow opacity image in the video. It isn't a regular monster catching / taming game. There is a twist that is shared on the store page. Like it is a dark story, not much. Forcing monsters together and more. And of course there is multiplayer, but I wonder how active it is. Like you don't need also methods to play multiplayer, or they are needed. Well, now that I was able to play the game, it couldn't connect to servers, and the only option was trading, at least at the time of testing the online feature. However, it was a disappointing experience, now that I was able to play Monster Ground. It's full of bugs, and now the DAO is focusing on the follow-up game. Well, what I was able to play includes a Red King update, but when it was released, it was called as free DLC from what I have checked. And maybe that's why it is a buggy mess. But that's not all. It takes too long to reach one of its gimmicks, which was used as a selling point. Because of that, the gimmick loses status where it can be used as a selling point. Maybe I didn't need to play it, but I couldn't play it to see how broken the game is. Monster Ground was developed by Studio Outrun and published by Zoetasco. Sorry for wrong pronunciation. For computers, Nintendo Switch, Xbox One and PlayStation 4. Well, in these situations, I'll start sharing what bugs or glitches or other stuff like that. Okay, I'll try a quick rundown of the game, but I won't be separate these into different chapters, separating into different chapters. The combat is turn-based with a changing type menu, but of course monsters wait for you, which you catch. Well, in this game, make a contract with them to recruit them, and for which there is no stamina or power point system, so you can use a powerful move without any restrictions, from what I could see. But there's an option to beat fault monsters in the overworld, and that is the only way to earn money. Of course, there is also a leveling system, but no evolutions, because it is breeding and motion. But more about them later in the video. About the story. Because of glitches, I didn't follow the story, so I didn't explore. Only after receiving your monster, which was sent by post, then sends you to me the king and gave him a gift. There's only a little bit of dark element in the story. From what I could tell, maybe it could get an E10 rating. If not lower rating. Anyways, about bugs or glitches. But I guess I'll start with which might not be a glitch. And well, I might not show all examples because I might be lazy when editing the video to look for the clip and I might not name the clip right. Long loading time when opening the game or showing the wrong progress. Like more than all or even more than 75% loads almost immediately, but then the rest of the part takes longer than that. At least the end case selection isn't calculated correctly. I'm not sure how to explain it, but the code source doesn't point where it shows, but next to it. If only that will be a bug, then I wouldn't mind. It will be slight inconvenience, but there is more. There can be a map where the map stops scrolling. Well, thankfully it happens only in the real maps, but when that happens you might not be able to access the house. Then you need to close that game and re-upload the game and wait that long loading time to be able to access the house. But with that you need to wait. Okay, I already said it. And of course you can save the game at that point when the map doesn't scroll back happens. Now about saving. When you save the game manually, then between the save dialog, the game runs, so you might get into a fault encoder or interact with objects between the saving dialog. Speaking about encoders, they are roaming encoders, but which basically spawns in your vision. But with that, your monster can defeat the wolf monster before it fully spawns. But then you might not get gold and experience for monsters in that way. Anyways, back to the bugs or glitches. It is easy to move in a way where monsters can spawn in a city or vice versa. Monsters doesn't spawn in the world. Running, starting or stopping by itself, or when there is different action selected for the add key. Also the add keys are reset when reopening the game. Healing doesn't cost money when it says it costs. Beating a monsters in the overworld might still trigger a bonus skin. Well, maybe it can fork a double experience skin. Upgrading is unlocked even before NPC should unlock it. Another thing that I'm not sure is if it's a bug, but NPCs and your monsters can get you stuck in place. Thankfully I somehow got out, but there might be a situations when they stops you from moving altogether. And I don't know if closing and reopening the game for both fix it. When quotient is finally unlocked, then the game still counts it as breathing and outbreathing. Other fault layers or overfault at element stays in a balanced case. Then sometimes your monster doesn't appear in overfault, and with it there are other glitches like I'm calling it or making it doesn't disappear, and you can move while it moves. Somehow it just happens where you, and maybe not just you, move while the pause menu is opened. Randomly the yellow triggers and it shouldn't trigger. And some settings don't show correct settings, and doesn't explain each of the settings, then moving between options. While in Polish the game doesn't share description of items. Another thing that may not be bug. Well, these were bugs that I experienced in my playthrough, but maybe there are other bugs that I didn't experience. But there are other things that make the experience worse, but I'll say those in a Miscellaneous chapter. But with that, it might be a mix between other stuff. I think there aren't even closer to direct player, so there were some situations where I did some stuff in different order, like waiting or trying to find a way to get around the roadblock. Maybe I should have said in the intro, but there is a photosensitivity warning. But I think I found a clips like that, so it should be fine, right? It should be fine. At least in the early game, even without type advantage, and under leveled monster can easily defeat your monster. Actually, even if your monster is type advantage, the under leveled monster, which is a type disadvantage, if that's the right word, still can defeat your monster. There is a level cap to monsters, like different types of level caps. Increasing it isn't connected to forcing or breathing gimmick, instead defeating special timers. Now about breathing and forcing. They are unlocked too late in playthrough, so they lose the status to be used in advertising. The main selling point of the game was prolonged for a stupid reason. And with it, I tracked a missed them, and then I searched on it outside them, and find outside locked behind progression, but also somebody saying Foshin will make the game easier. And the Foshin is unclotted fatal weight near the end game. With breathing, you get an egg. With outbreathing, you can get a monster immediately, but at first, Angus is an embryo. Foshin combines two monsters in one, so you lose one monster. The new monster starts from level 4 or something like that came from X, and Foshin keeps the level from the main monster. The witch monster selected. So it takes a while to encounter Foshin. Only way is by encountering it in fault or as a fault encounter, which will become a new species, or maybe that is for breeding. And also, as for discover it, you can name it. However, if you meet the same species and name isn't recognized, right? And you don't encounter a lot of those. Or by beating them in our fault, you can't know if monsters are new species or not. But the experience is exciting. So because of glitches, I kept it on. and there should be part the experience, then it should be his item, but with it, when grinding to pass difficulty space, and maybe it still will be the same, if part the experience was off, my monsters became overwhelmed for later stuff in this game. There's also a new game plus, which is always visible on the main menu, without having a save file, but also there is Mars quest campaign, in which there aren't interior maps, as far as I checked, and it still is a tutorial. Also which was added by the Red King update / DLC. Those monster overworld abilities, then you need to change the leader in the party member. I somehow didn't see an option to escape at Twitch, so for a long time I forfeited so much, which made me lose the battle, and rather to select the checkpoint that I interacted with and whatever that counted as checkpoint. Without any heads up and only once to progress the game, you need to help praise the monsters. It's happens and meeting with event and 4 generations monster is needed. The game asks for pronounce other naming character, but before selecting all the character logs. As it is correctly instanced, then I can't recommend this game. But then, when I publish this video, it might be fixed, so maybe I should be publishing this video earlier. But I don't know about that. And because there is a follow-up game in development, then I doubt that I will focus on this game. Either way, I'll think about when making the video. But if I am planning to publish earlier, then I should be changing stuff in the script, and it varies by when I record voice, camera, voice size and voiceover. Still, I'm not planning to changing publishing date earlier, but you will see about that when a video gets published. And without bugs or glitches, the game still might be directionless, doesn't give any direction, or even as a clock, but maybe that will be manageable. And without glitches, I will be paying more attention to the dialogue, then maybe I will learn about history. I guess they tried to mix at least a little bit from 2D Pokemon with stuff from 3D Pokemon. And I meant by from 3D Pokemon artworks and glitches. Okay, maybe that isn't true. And also that was proposed to be short. Thanks for not having a short attention span, so I hope you enjoyed this video, and if you did, like the video, subscribe and comment. See you next time.